Hi everybody, welcome to this module. So this is a module that kind of just came to me because I was doing some work on self-motivation for specific outcomes, because that's really how that works. And it just kind of came to me as a big breakthrough, and it made an impact in my life, getting my emotions right, feelings right, and energy right to actually get myself motivated to do and accomplish more things in my life which need to be done. So I wanted to share this video in terms of how, or as a reference point, on how to apply the integrated appreciation method for motivation. Now, if you know the visionary method, you can use this process in the visionary method, which is really cool, but you need to also know the integrated appreciation method first. So if you haven't seen that yet, please go and watch the trainings so you understand how to do this process effectively. And there's going to be tons more videos on how to do that more effectively. Those are coming. And there's also already in here too. So I mean, I don't want to take this video too seriously, but anyway, this video is specifically for using the integrated appreciation method on motivating yourself, because that appears to be something that people challenged with sometimes in life, and I think that's pretty much true for most of us. And we all want to do things, we all want to accomplish things, but we get blocked sometimes, or we just get unable to, or we don't find the energy, don't find the time, whatever. So let's get a little bit more specific on that in this video and see if we can help you guys use the I am process to help you get on track. Okay, so one of the things I'm learning in my YouTube perusing of psychology and psychotherapy models is that there's a difference between attempting to command yourself like a tyrant and basically make yourself into a slave in that sense, and kind of just continuously judge yourself for doing or not doing what it is you think you want to do, and actually getting yourself to answer questions and ask questions towards yourself to get you to do things. And so one of the challenges here that a lot of people have in personal development and attempting to get themselves to motivate themselves is they're doing it in a commanding kind of way. It's like top-down leadership, do this or I will kick your ass kind of concept. And that's not really effective, because you are an emotional being at the core of yourself, and you need to be negotiated with. And having a negotiation is always better than having a commanding tyrant come in and then making you a rebellious slave, which means you have this unconscious saboteur that says, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do this instead. Anyway, so basically what I mean by that is that it's wiser to ask questions for yourself, towards yourself, to actually get you to do things in a way which is effective and actually flows really easily to do. Because I've come to realize that actually changing who you are is really easy. It's actually really easy, as so long as you get the feelings right, and the feelings are fuel at the end of the day. And that's what this group is about. That's what the integrated appreciation method is designed to help you do. It's designed to help you create the correct fuel to resonate with the correct, or the change that you want to create. And the way that we're going to do that is actually create some questions to get us there. So one of the first questions you want to ask here for yourself is, what do you want yourself to do? What do you want from yourself that's something maybe more than you have been doing, or maybe less than you have been doing? And you could say this as, or you could answer this as a tangible, as in, I want to spend more time doing this, or I want to spend less time doing this, or I want to spend more time feeling this way and less time feeling this way. Whatever that is, or however you want to answer that for yourself. If it's maybe an entrepreneurial thing, you want to spend maybe more time doing business or selling clients or stuff like that, or working with people, well, let's put some specifics in there. Specifics are always good because you can plan around these things. So let's just say you wanted to spend, I don't know, like 8 hours a day doing a entrepreneurial kind of thing. Okay, cool, 8 hours a day, great. That's what I want to spend my time doing. Great, put that down, put clarifiers in there, get specific on your answers. But basically you want to ask the question, what is it that you want yourself to do? That's a much different approach than saying, I'm going to do this, or I need to get myself to do this, or I must do this, or I imperative myself under all these ideas and illusions of what I think I'm supposed to do. So let's just get ourselves into more question mode, because you will actually be more resonant to answering questions that are actually directed towards your empowerment, because you're actually having a negotiation with yourself instead of hating yourself and judging yourself for not doing what you think you want to do. And by virtue of that, whatever you resist persists, but that's less of a philosophical parable now for me. It's actually more of a practical reality because of the way your psychology and your body works. Because if you're always trying to get yourself to do something and always judging yourself for not doing it, or judging yourself for doing what you're doing, wanting to do this, blah, 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 all this stuff, man, no wonder you get in these cycles, because you have a tyrant and a rebellious slave here, and they're both at odds with one another, and no wonder you feel like you're at war with yourself. So rather than feeling like you're at war with yourself, let's just get really calm here for a second and do a bit of breathing if you have to. I mean, you could do some Wim Hof on YouTube if you want. That's something I recommend. Or go have a shower. Just go center yourself for a second. Like, it's important to really take the time and create the space and the presence within yourself and your environment to be able to do this. I love doing this in the shower. I love doing it before bedtime. I love doing it kind of during the day, midday. Also in the morning when I'm making my coffee or something, or just getting the James ready for school, something like that. That's really great for me. But it's important to put the time in for this and get present and actually ask yourself, what is it that you want yourself to do? Now, this is different than saying, what do I want to have, in a sense, because that's more of a thing as a consequence of what you want yourself to do. So you can consider that and keep thinking about that. That's important. But what I also want you to do is consider that you have a list of wants that you want, and there's going to be a cool journaling model, if not already. I don't want to date this too much, but there's going to be a cool journal module in terms of how to actually get that part out of your head and kind of onto paper, which is really cool, and it's really helped me. But this one primarily is for if you have that list already of, you know what you want, or you know what you want to have more of or less of, whatever. Want is different than wanting yourself to do. Makes sense? A want is an external thing that I'm going to get as a consequence of doing certain actions because I'm going to become this kind of person. But you're going to check this out here for a second. There's kind of a middle ground, and it's the action, because you know what you want, but then there's the action to get there, and then there's the person you need to become to take those actions. And the I am on motivation is actually going to take out or allow you to become that thing that is able to become those actions. And it's all affirmations at the end of the day. Affirmations and emotions create the motion. That's really what it's about. So that being said, that's your first question. What is it that you want yourself to do? Get clear on that, answer that, get some specifics in there in terms of what that looks like, as detailed as possible. And don't go too crazy, but at least give yourself something to work with, and say, this is how I would want to maybe feel, or this is what I want myself to do. Primarily, that's your primary question. I'll leave it at that. You finish that, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, that was about a second, and now we're going to go to the next part. So now basically you've determined kind of what you want to give yourself, from yourself, for yourself, which is really cool. So now we do the I am on that. So now we're going to say, okay, so why would that be important to you? Now you could start with that one, or you could also start with, well, what would that give you if you were able to do that for yourself? You could do that too. When I started this part of the process, I went straight to why would that be important to me to do that. But if you feel that you want to go a little bit further and add a little bit more work for yourself, if it would help, you could ask, what would that give you? And you could write a bunch of things down like that. But whatever way, that's kind of up to you. You know the process. Use it at your will in the way that you feel that it's required for you. So primarily, what I do is I just identify what I want myself to do. I want myself to do that. Cool. And then what I did is I just started asking, well, why would that be important to me? Why would that be important to me? And, in the same sense, you could ask, what would that give me and why would that be important to me? But primarily, we're trying to connect this to your mind and import that idea into your mind so you can feel more cool with it in that sense. It's kind of like adding benefits to it in that sense. But I don't think benefits really is the best word to use when we're trying to motivate ourselves. Is why would that be important to you? That's a really great, energetic, kind of feel-good question. So why would that be important to you? And you want to ask it kind of like this. Why would that be important to what's already important to you? That's also a good question. Another good question is, why would that be important to you, and how would that maybe help you with the people that are closest to you that you want to carry along with you? Why would that be important to everything that's important to you, like musical instruments or whatever it is, your house or yourself or your fashion, whatever it is? How would that be important to your friends, or the future version of yourself, or the future version of yourself maybe 10, 20 years from now? How will that be important to your children, perhaps, if you have any children? How would that be important to, or why would that be important to, build a better relationship, maybe, or a better relationship with money in that sense? Just kind of think about that. Go around kind of the wheel of the 7 areas of life, or whatever areas of life you want to make for yourself, whatever, that's up to you. I'm not going to put a rule on that. But primarily, consider answering that question. And when you get that question, obviously, because you're doing I am, you want to make an I am statement out of that. So it would be important to you because maybe it would help me provide a better lifestyle for my kid and my family. Okay, cool. That's one for me because I'm a family guy. And so then I might look at that and say, okay, well, what kind of lifestyle would that help me create for them? It would create this, and that would give me this in that sense, because it's an item that would help me create. Cool. And so then, why would that be important to me? And then once I get that answer, I just convert it into an I am statement, and I just repeat that into my body, repeat that into myself, and connect that into my mind in that sense. So it would be important to me because, well, what does that mean about you if that was to happen? What would that mean about you in an inspiring and a positive way in that sense? So then you're going to look at it and say, well, it would help me provide an education for my son James if I was able to spend more time, what do I want myself to do? I want to spend more time marketing, making videos, working my business, working with people. Cool. And why would that be important to me? Because if I do that, I can get more people enrolled in my program. I can teach and consult with more people. I can make more money in that sense. And why would that be important to me? Because I can give. That's a cool answer too. What would that help you give? Because that also affirms that you're capable and powerful. What would that help me give to my son? And helps me give my son a great education. And why would that be important to me? And that's when you can convert to an I am statement and say, I provide for my family. And that might feel good, might feel weird. If it feels weird, that's totally fine too. You know what? Because if it feels weird, it's just because you have a lack of fair exchange on that thing, which means you might have some appreciation to do on your family currently or past family potentially, but we have to kind of work with our emotions and learn and listen what's going on the inside to try and determine what's going on with our emotions in that sense. But I think really, if we're really focused and we're very present with this work, what will happen is you can kind of get past that resistance and really just go into it. So you might say something like an I am statement. Maybe it sounds like I am providing for my family. But we might go a little further and say, okay, well, if that's not getting us feelings, let's go a little differently. Because ultimately, we're trying to get into harmony with our feelings, okay? And it's kind of like tuning an instrument like a guitar up to the song. You have to tune it right. Once you tune it right, it starts to harmonize with the rest of the music, and then you can play, right? That's what we're doing. So you might want to look at it differently and say, well, if that's not giving me the right feelings, or I just feel dead or kind of open or just not really connected to anything, well, let's just maybe say that again a few times, or maybe say it in a different way and look at what else that might be. Well, okay, let's go for it. And let's just, because I'm going to do this in my head right now and show you guys. So if I was able to do all that stuff, I could provide a greater education for my son, James. And why would that be important to me? Well, because I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm powerful. Okay, but that's not enough for me. So let's keep going, because it gets kind of challenging when you're doing future motivation stuff, because it's not based on reality yet. So let's go a little further. Well, maybe it'd be important to me because I could see him, I'd be able to see him grow and flourish in the best way possible. Okay, what does that say about me? I got it. Helps me actually recognize that I've done a good job. And what is that? What is that? Why is that important for me to realize? Or why is that important to me? It helps me realize I am a pretty good dad. Cool. That's pretty good. That brings some tears to my eyes just from reading that. Again, you got to kind of work with the affirmations a little bit. But once you get those feelings in there, now you have fuel potential waiting inside your being, in your body, to tie to yourself. So that being said, once you've got that I am statement, then you want to go to the feelings part of it. So just get clear on that, work with that a little bit, determine what that I am statement is for you in terms of a future-based thing. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because it is in the future, but just you really want to get these things out there or kind of in there in your head, because these are the proclamations and the affirmations really that you're going to make that it's going to create that future for yourself. And once we get that connected to fuel, you're going to see how that works. So I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, so you probably got your affirmation down at this point for as many things as you have in terms of the action that you're wanting to do for yourself or asking yourself to do. You now know why it's important to you, what it might give you, what it might help you give other people, how it might influence people in your future, how it might influence things that you already carry or that you want more in your life, and how that will be important to you. And you've got those I am statements again. And those I am statements are now connected directly to the future and all sorts of other things in your life, which is pretty cool. You got a kind of a neat little affirmative neural network going on right now, which is great. But now we have to connect it to feelings, right? So now why don't you take your I am statement. For me, what I kind of come up with, which kind of got me some emotion, was I'm a good dad, which is pretty cool. And so that probably has some meaning, because probably there's a void in something like that in your life. Usually the affirmation statements are there to proclaim a kind of opposition to a challenge you've had in your life. And that's really cool because there's emotion there, and that's important to have that polarization, because that creates energy, because charge is energy in that sense, and you can help this motivate you. So I'll say that to myself, and then what you want to do, because this is the integrated appreciation method, you want to ask, how does that help you feel to affirm that to yourself, or how does that help you feel just to say that in your head? So just close your eyes for a second and just go into it and imagine that future. Imagine that future of, for me in particular, spending that time, making the money so I can provide that for James. It's really inspiring, so I'll tear up on the video for you guys. And then recognize that it's because, the I am statement there is, I am a good father. I am a good father. And just say this a few times, breathe with it, say it a few times. It's very important. You got to have kind of a physical part to this process. Really, any mental transformation process, you really do have to have a physical component to it. It's important because you are in your body, by the way. And so what's important, I'm a good father. I am a good father. Now, if it doesn't feel 100% yet, it's just because you don't really have the thing built up yet in terms of the balance of that. You haven't paid for it yet, which is okay. But just get yourself kind of the first level of feeling there and ask it, how does it help you feel? And so I'm a good father. Helps me kind of feel accomplished and prideful in a sense, really proud in a way. And then, of course, you want to ask, where do you feel that in your body right now? And I kind of feel it right in my eyes. A little bit in my chest, but I'm still resisting it a little bit. So now that we have that cleared, or at least understood, now we know we have a bit of a resistance to that, right? Which directly plays on your own internal belief of how capable you are and how powerful you are to perform and receive that value that you've imagined for yourself. Okay, so now we got to clear that part out. So now that you've got this one kind of practiced out, do that for a little bit, and I'm going to see you guys in a second. We're going to do the other side. Okay, so the other side to this part, specifically only for the future motivation kind of stuff, is pretty unique, and it's going to be a new way to use the integrated appreciation method. And it's kind of like I'm going to do this, right? So we're going to look at the things that we want ourselves to do. So it's like, what do I want myself to do? That's the first question we asked. You've identified a few things for yourself that would create the results that you're looking to receive in your life. That's how that works. So, but now we're going to kind of connect to that. And then we're going to look at it and say, okay, so that's what I want myself to do. Cool. Now I want to ask you this question. What are you willing to give of yourself and to yourself to accomplish that? Or from yourself or to yourself, or wherever we want to do that. But basically what you want to do here is connect to your capacities, okay? Now, sometimes, I'll just share this, sometimes you're going to run into an innate resistance that just feels like, but I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that. And let me just tell you one thing straight up. Usually if it's emotional block and you can't get it through, and you're like, but I can't do it. Okay, well, hang on for a second. Really what that says is, I'm not wanting to get the reward of the thing I'm trying to motivate myself to do. So my question immediately for you is, well, who are you waiting on? What emotional invoice are you holding on to? Like, who do you feel you owe or that owes you that's keeping you from actually receiving that same value in your life? Okay? So there might be a little bit of past work to do, or at least memory past work in the integrated appreciation world to help you get that done. So you might need to go back and say, maybe it's my dad, maybe it's my mom, maybe it's my girlfriend or my boss or whatever. Maybe it's just somebody, it's usually, by the way, somebody that you are just feeling it's kind of in your head. So there's usually somebody in your head or some people in your head more predominantly when you think about these exercises. And those are usually the people that you're going to need to do the integrated appreciation method on. And I want you to write down the names of those people and maybe do the process on those things. Maybe do like a 2 or 3 line process on what you think you owe them or they owe you, or what you wanted them to do for you, or what you wanted to do for them, or whatever, and just get that stuff integrated, see where it actually happened, and then get that stuff kind of cleared up and at least equalized, so you can free your energy up and free your flow and actually free your fuel in that sense, so you can actually get moving on the motivational part of it. Okay, so that's just a very basic thing to do. I don't want to go into too much detail about it because this is primarily a motivational part. But let's move forward in that sense now that we have that kind of expressed. Just in short, most emotional blocks in this piece, or most resistances that you feel, are mostly an unpaid invoice, emotional invoice in the past, where you owe somebody or somebody owes you and you're holding on to it. And you probably know who that is. It's probably right at the front of your mind or the front of your heart or something. So just write down the name of the person. Or it could be a situation like this. It's like, who do you think would win that you don't want to win out of that? And sometimes it's yourself. Sometimes you'd be like, well, I'm not sure I would win, but that's up to you because you determine how you want to win. I mean, that's just a lack of understanding what you're going to get it for doing it, right? So just understand that. And that's also part of what we're going to do right now, which is that question of what are you going to give to achieve that from yourself, and what are you going to give for yourself to achieve that? Okay, you want to write this stuff down. So you might want to say, well, I want myself, like what do I want myself to do? I want myself to spend more time doing this. Cool. Well, then what are you going to give for that? Because guess what? Time is a commodity, and if you want more time here, you're going to take it from somewhere else, right? So I might say, well, I'm going to give it a little bit more time there. Okay, well, then what am I going to give myself or for myself in response to that? I'm going to give myself a little bit more time over here, focused a little bit more structured, so I can allocate that there. And that's just a bunch of it's solving the Rubik's Cube of the motivational puzzle in that sense. But just understand that you're going to have to allocate a couple things here, but this is what I'm going to give for that, and this is what I'm going to give myself for that reward. Cool. What do you want yourself to do? Why would that be important to you, to your friends, to your family, to whatever it is, anyone else involved? Who would that help you become? Who would that help you influence? How will that help your future person, whatever? Get that into an I am statement. Make sure that I am statement gets you feelings. Get the feelings up. How does it help you feel? Get that in the body right now. If there's any resistances, might have to do some past I am work. But primarily it's probably based upon the exchanges in the future of what you're going to get out of it, or maybe what you feel you're going to give to other people out of it. And so in this kind of level of questioning, we're now just going into, okay, so I want to do that. Good. So what am I going to give of myself to that, to make that sure that happens? And what am I going to give to myself as a reward for doing that? And once you've got that, then we got to do the I am on those pieces too, just to connect them to thinking and feeling. And so that being said, let's move forward, and I'll see you in a second. All right, that's about 1 second. So let's go into that one now. So now that we've got that, it's like, okay, well, why? What am I going to give to make that sure that happens? What am I going to give of myself to make sure that happens? I'm going to give this of myself. Cool. And what am I going to give to myself as a reward for doing that? Cool. And why is that important to me? You want to look at both of those pieces and just kind of connect them together and say, and why is that important to me? Or why would that, or can that be important to me? You can kind of use a future describer on that. And once you've got that there, you get the I am statement, right? And you really connect it to yourself. This would be really cool. So for me, for example, I'm going to give some more time to my business. I know it's important to me. It helps me become, give the School for James, helps me, and there's other things there too. I'm just choosing that one thing for now. But the more you choose, the more emotional it gets, which is good because it gives you the fuel. So I might look at it and say, okay, well, helps me be, it helps me know I'm a really good dad. Helps me know I'm a really great dad. It's very emotional for some reason. And so I said, okay, well, what am I going to give for that? Well, I'm going to schedule it. I'm going to give some time to schedule that. I'm going to give some of my time. I'm going to focus myself. Right? These are strategic things that you're going to give of yourself to make sure that happens, right? And you got to connect to the value of that for yourself, which is why we're doing this side of the process, right? So I'm going to focus my time a little bit more. I'm going to connect to the value of it every day. I'm going to connect to the value of it every time I work with somebody. Cool, that already brings tears to my eyes. Fuck yeah, right? Because now I'm acknowledging that I'm capable of it. That's the point, right? You are appreciating yourself by doing this process anyway. You're acknowledging your power and your capacities to create change in your life. That's part of the game, okay? Now we're going to move forward and say, and what am I going to give to myself as a reward for doing all those things? Because guess what? You can be inspired to do it, but if you're not inspired to receive something from it, oh man, now we've got some challenges, right? So now we're going to look at, well, what am I going to give to myself as a reward for that? Well, if I'm able to put in all that time and focus all that and do all that, and that really works well, what would I love to give to myself? That's a good question. Most of you are going to get blocked on this one because most of us are really good at giving, not receiving, right? So we kind of got to push ourselves a little bit and really ask ourselves, what do I want to give to myself that would both enable me to be inspired enough to go do that? But what would I love to give to myself? And it could be emotional, it could be tangible, but for me, it's a level of pride. I know I'd love to give myself some pride and respect, self-respect, self-acknowledgement. And but also, what else? I think I'd love to. Well, for me, I know it's pretty obvious. I'd love to buy a guitar. Actually, I'd love to buy the Paul Reed Smith Silver Sky Stratocaster, basically. So that's kind of my goal right now. So it's a tangible goal, kind of emotional and tangible in the same way. But I know that if I was able to do that, and that was a result, yeah, that inspires me. That's pretty cool. And cool. So now we get to ask, well, why would that be important to me? Well, because I'm a musician, which is pretty cool. So now another self-acknowledgement piece. So I'm a good father, I'm a musician, right? That's cool. Now, why would that be important to me to give all that stuff for that time? because I can make it happen, which means really I make things happen. How cool is that? Now you got 3 powerful affirmations for yourself that are all based on the construct of your future reality and your present reality. I'm a good father. For me, these are mine. I'm a good father. I'm a musician, and I make things happen. Wow, that's pretty cool. Imagine waking up every day and saying that to yourself. How cool would that be? So now you want to go into how that helps you feel, obviously, because we're doing the integrated appreciation method on this. So how does that help me feel when I say those things? So I'm a father. I'm a good father. I'm a musician, and I make things happen. Well, for me, I feel present as fuck when I say that. I feel inspired. I feel motivated. I feel capable. I feel powerful, and I feel willing and ready for change, which is really cool. And I'm just really inspired by that right now. It's pretty crazy, right? So, and that's just called connecting to emotions, right? I mean, the practice of this is connecting to emotions. Where do I feel it in my body? I feel it in my eyes. I feel it all over my body. I feel it in my heart. I'm just kind of buzzing with that right now, and I can't really. I'm kind of right now just envisioning going and writing it in my schedule right now, how to make this happen, and inspiring myself with maybe a poster of the guitar, that kind of thing. So, anyway, that's how that works. It's a practice, right, guys? Like, don't expect to get kind of tears like I do on very simple words right away. You can. It really depends on you and how much work you've done like this. So, just want to share that, and just want to share that because it's very cool, it's very worthwhile, and it'll make a big difference in your life if you just practice it. Because again, connecting to emotions is so important because these become your emotional fuel, and it's just, think about it. Being able to fuel yourself and fulfill yourself in that sense with feelings really creates a hell of a defense mechanism against all the fucking bullshit that goes on in the world, which allows you to just focus on what's really important for you and really important for your culture and your tribe and the people that you're going to influence. So getting this stuff right is pretty important in my opinion, and I think this process can really help you guys get that motivational mindset, or at least that motivational moment into your life so you can actually start taking those actions. All right? That being said, thanks for watching. I love that you guys are here. I hope you get a lot out of this video. Put some questions below. I will answer these questions in the upcoming Q&As about this module. And other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon.